can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Indeed. Happy Friday, everybody. Live from our nation's capital. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and chief national political analyst. I'm in touch. And so be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. That's Nii-Quartelai. And also be sure to download the app to listen live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk. We have a little bit of an echo, but I have faith that we're going to correct that. Very much the song Optimistic, being optimistic. And as soon as we have that correct, you won't hear it anymore. But let me just say that I'm glad you brought it up. And I'm going to feel even better when we correct this echo. We're going to go to a commercial, and when we come back, we're going to correct that. We can give you the show that you deserve, the show that you've been waiting for. You've been listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, Tavis Smiley here. We're getting closer to June 18th, and time is running out for you to register to join us for our historic symposium live on C-SPAN, Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Admission is free, but you must register at KBLA1580.com right now if you want to be in the audience when the nation will see for the first time ever a stage full of brilliant Black folk talking about the urgency of now. Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. It's all going down. Well, it's actually all going up. Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. live from the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Again, admission is free, but we're filling up fast. So if I were you, I would log on right now to KBLA1580.com to reserve your seat. Caring about the climate, caring about the community. We're KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Are you wet shaving? You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops, I'm good with Gillette Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard Mama hates anyway?
Since 77. I shaved and got ingrown so bad.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturizer. So I don't have to worry about new razor bumps, shaving.
Huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
The best a man can get keeps getting better with Gillette Skin Guard. Buy now at a retailer near you.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16 powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice, and injustice. The courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Areva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Areva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and delighted to be in conversation with all of you. We are hoping that we fixed our technical difficulty. My team will keep me abreast as to whether or not we've actually done that. But we want to make sure that we're bringing you all of today's biggest headlines. And we want to make sure we're bringing that to you with all of the clarity that we can provide over the airwaves here. We know there's a lot of important news that is trending. And it looks like we finally fixed it. See, this is how you know this is live just about every day, because you never know what news is going to break. You never know when we might have a technical difficulty, but we are committed to excellence. We're committed to getting it right so we can give you your daily political news digest from the White House to your house. There is so much going on. And just a few of today's headlines, making up the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. President Biden has announced that Israel has offered a 3-part proposal to end the war in Gaza. This is major news that broke a few hours ago. NBC News reporting that Biden announced this just today from the White House, that Israel has proposed this 3-part plan that would ultimately lead to a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, as well as the release of all hostages who've been held there for the last 8 months. Speaking from the White House, President Biden said that the proposal comes after intensive diplomacy carried out by his team. The plan has been relayed to Hamas via Qatar, one of the main mediators in negotiations. And look, this is the deal. President Biden's announcement, it's pretty notable. It's notable for a number of reasons. It's notable because we've all seen the ceasefire now protest across the country, not just on college campuses, but everywhere. This has become a major issue of epic proportions. This has been one of the biggest humanitarian crises that we have experienced thus far. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take another break to make sure that we are operating at all cylinders. You're listening to a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Turning pain into power.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma.
I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Mercury must be in retrograde, but we are going to figure this out. You've been listening to some of the headlines, some of the biggest headlines for today that I've been going through. Just right before the break, I was sharing some major news that broke just a few hours ago from the White House related to the conflict in Gaza. President Biden announcing that Israel has offered a 3-part proposal to end the war in Gaza. NBC News is reporting that the president's announcement is pretty notable. It's pretty notable in part because his administration has battled opposition from the far left wing of the Democratic Party, especially as the general election is in full swing. And people have demonstrated across the country. We've all seen it. And the plan's first phase would start with a 6-week complete ceasefire, including the withdrawal of Israeli forces from populated areas of Gaza and the release of women and children being held hostage. That's what Biden said during the surprise announcement today. He said the initial stage would also include a surge of humanitarian assistance with 600 trucks carrying aid into Gaza every day. And so, it's all up to Hamas. And the president today urging, folks on both sides, particularly folks across the country that have been lifting their voice, calling for a ceasefire, to urge Hamas to take this deal. And so we shall see if that happens. We also know that there's been quite a bit of internet traffic related to former President Trump's conviction of a felony, 34 counts just yesterday. But did you know that the Trump campaign has doubled its previous one-day record fundraising haul after the guilty verdict? You have USA Today that's reporting that the former president's campaign says that it raised a whopping $34.8 million in small dollar donations after he was convicted yesterday of 34 counts in Manhattan. The campaign said that the Thursday haul was, quotes, the biggest day ever recorded for Trump's small dollar fundraising operation. And in a statement this morning, one of his senior campaign advisors said that within minutes of the verdict, quotes, our digital fundraising system was overwhelmed with support. And despite temporary delays online because of the amount of traffic, the president raised $34.8 million. And so 34 counts, $34.8 million. You do the math. But I want to transition now to our guest today. It is Pop Culture Happy Hour. But that doesn't mean that there isn't big news stories that we absolutely feel responsible to share with you. But an incredible book, an incredible story, an incredible author. I want to invite Deesha Dyer to join me. She's a former hip hop journalist and community college student from Philadelphia, but that's not it. She has an inspiring story about her path to becoming the White House social secretary under another president, President Barack Obama. Her new book, Undiplomatic: How My Attitude Created the Best Kind of Trouble, details her rise from her 2009 internship to managing state dinners and concerts and high-profile visits, including one from the Pope. Welcome, Deesha Dyer.
Thank you so much. Yes, I work for the president that is not a felon. Yes, wonderful.
Praise him, praise him. So one of the things I love about even just the title of your book, How My Attitude Created the Best Kind of Trouble, when I saw that right away, I thought about something that my dad used to say to me, may rest in peace. When I was a kid, he used to say that your attitude will determine your altitude. Your attitude will determine your altitude. And so tell us a little bit about the attitude that you had that led you to the Obama White House.
Yes. So it's, first of all, so great to be here with you today. And I love listening to all the news and all that stuff. And so I love that saying. I feel like that's what many Black parents said to us growing up. But for me, it was a little bit different because growing up, my attitude was perceived as, bad, or, now we say toxic, or it was one that was always problematic. And so the altitude in which kind of was determined for me was going to be one that wasn't really the reality. But as things change, I found a voice, I found a space for my attitude, and that space was in social justice. And so, when I applied to be an intern for President and Mrs. Obama, it was completely, out of my community background, not knowing anybody, not thinking I was going to get it. It was a whole just, I know I could try. And it turns out that they were the type of president and first lady that, were encouraged dissenters and encourage people to kind of speak up. And I fit right in with that. And so my attitude definitely ended up determining my altitude, but it didn't start that way.
I think that's incredible that you were able to summon the courage to do something that you'd never done before. And like so many of our leaders, learners, and listeners, we don't necessarily come from a pedigree where this stuff is automatic, because your parents had the right kind of job and the right kind of friends that led to the right kind of internships and ultimate job opportunities. For some of us that are first and second generation, we're climbing up the rough side of the mountain with our bare hands. And so talk to me a little bit about the courage that you were able to summon as somebody growing up in Philly that didn't necessarily that didn't at all have people in your family that were social secretaries, the presidents of the United States. Talk to me about what it took to summon that courage.
Yeah, I would say that, it took a lot, and my courage was simply out of my curiosity. It was me saying, I'm in community leadership now. I do a lot with, people from different places in the community and on different causes, specifically HIV/AIDS or misogyny in hip hop or things like that. And I was just like, I'm so curious about this man who's running for office. I was curious, number one, about a Black man running for office. And then he was a Black man that white people liked, which was very unheard of. Unheard of, period. But like unheard of on a national scale. And so I was just like, let me listen to what this man's talking about. Like, what's this man saying? And he was saying things that I identified with. I think that kind of got my curiosity piqued. And then that led to being like, well, maybe I can try to get to know him and try to figure out how I can participate in his campaign. I never really thought that it would lead to what it led to. But when I got the White House application, it was honestly very easy to fill out, like no shade. Like, I don't know what it's like now, but back then it was just like 2 essays and a resume and fill out an application. And I was like, oh, I could do this. I'm a writer. And so my courage really came from looking at it and saying, like, I've done so many other hard things with my life. Like I've gone through personal trials. And so if the worst that happens is I didn't get this, then I'm not going to be hurt about it, but I am going to try.
That I love you saying that, because I feel similar. I mean, when you've gone through rough times and you've had life experiences that have really sort of, broken you in some ways, right? To the point where there's no other choice but to heal and to thrive and to soar. And so tell us, what compelled you to translate your experience in the White House, your journey to the White House, into this book? I mean, you are an author, man.
Yeah, I know. Listen, good doctor, listen. When I started thinking about, because people asked me to write a book when I came out the White House, even before I left, probably like 2016, but I wasn't there yet. I didn't know what I could write about. I wanted to kind of have my own time to really reflect on this experience. And I think that for me, especially now that we're coming up on a presidential election, our school board, state official, not just presidential, I think that we need different people getting involved in politics that don't come from the pedigree. Like we see what the pedigree does. And I'm not saying they're all bad, but I'm just saying the progress is slow, the progress is the same, and the progress ends up being the setting us back. And so it's one of these things where I felt like I wanted to write something for people who felt like they didn't belong in politics and public service, but I also wanted to be honest about mental health issues and, feeling like an imposter, and really try to encourage, especially Black women, to kind of be like, no, you are like, you're born worthy. Like, I don't care what degree you get. I don't care what degree you don't get. Like, you can contribute to whatever it is. And so I think that right now was the time to do it. And because I have all these dope experiences and I have all these things, I'm like, let me make this a fun story. Like I can make this fun and give some lessons. And so that's what I did.
I think it's incredible, and we are better for it. The name of the book is Undiplomatic: How My Attitude Created the Best Kind of Trouble. And you're more than just an author and a practitioner. You also are taking your story and your skills to academia. You have curated and instructed a study course called Imposter to Impact at the Harvard Kennedy School. When we come forward, I want to hear a little bit about the curriculum.
Yes, definitely.
In this course. For those people who may not be attending Harvard anytime soon, hopefully you can drop some gems, some nuggets that folks can carry with them. As we dare to dream, as we dare to soar, as we dare to do the thing that maybe we didn't think that we could do.
100%.
We're talking to Deesha Dyer. She is the author and former hip hop journalist and an overall dope change maker right here on A More Perfect Union. More when we come forward. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who was Black, and top prosecutors who worked on Donald Trump's hush money case are facing backlash from House Republicans. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan plans to request testimony from Bragg and prosecutor Matthew Colangelo on June 13th. Jordan said the hearing will focus on what he called the unprecedented political prosecution of President Trump. Israel is proposing a new ceasefire plan for the war in Gaza. The country calls it a roadmap for an enduring ceasefire and the release of hostages held by Hamas in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. The notorious B.I.G.'s mother, Valletta Wallace, wants to slap the daylights out of Diddy. That's what she told Rolling Stone in a recent statement regarding the sexual and physical abuse allegations against him. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary hair? Visit your local SoCal FS Cut and Color salon today and let their team of expert stylists pamper you with affordable luxury. Get a free shampoo with every cut. Book your appointment today at fantasticsams.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The odds makers in Vegas are favoring the Boston Celtics to win the NBA championship. The Celtics are listed as 6-point favorites in Game 1 against the Dallas Mavericks. Game 1 is Thursday night in Boston. The Dodgers and Angels are back on the field tonight. The Dodgers are at home against Colorado. The Dodgers have won 3 straight and are 14 games over 500. The Angels are in Seattle tonight. Here's one item you're not hearing too much about with Caitlin Clark in her rookie season in the WNBA. Clark already has 3 technical fouls in her first 9 games with the Indiana Fever. If you get 7 techs in the WNBA, you get an automatic 1-game suspension. Tomorrow night at 7 here on KBLA, join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for Out of Bounds, 60 minutes of sports talk with some flavor. You can join the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Linking social justice and climate justice all year long. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice, and injustice. The courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Shopping for new blinds? At Blindster, we offer over 50 different blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices, custom made for your windows, and shipping is free. Shop at home and order 10 free samples of any product before you buy. Blindster.com.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to a reunion on KBLA Talk 1580, and I'm so delighted to be in conversation with Deisha Dyer. She is the author of the book that everybody's talking about. And if you have not downloaded this book, the audio book, if you have not purchased this book, all I'm going to say is treat yourself, don't cheat yourself. That's all I'm going to say. This book is creating a lot of buzz. It's called Undiplomatic: How My Attitude Created the Best Kind of Trouble, and it details her rise from a 2009 internship to managing state dinners and concerts and high-profile guests like Beyonce and the Pope as the social secretary for the Obama White House. Get it right. Obama White House.
Get it right.
So, just last week, we had the Kenya State Dinner here in D.C. How would you rate that dinner? I mean, if anybody knew,
I will say that I wasn't there, so I'm not the personal experience, but it looked beautiful. I loved the decor that was there, and I also loved. I heard that the food was very good. I don't know about the Brad Paisley as the entertainment, but maybe there was a connection that I didn't know about. So I'm gonna let that be up to the people that make those decisions. But it looked wonderful, and President Obama made a surprise drop by, and my old boss Darren Walker from the Ford Foundation was there. So it was a plethora of just Black people just there everywhere. So that was nice to see.
It was beautiful, and really, one of the first state dinners for an African leader in some time.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're planning, such a high profile event where everybody's a VIP guest, and one mistake, might make its way to the front pages of the Washington Post.
Yes.
What makes a state dinner or just a White House party a cut above the rest when it comes to any old event or gala or party?
Mm-hmm. I think that for us, it was like, we had President and Mrs. Obama, who were, the first Black president and first lady. And so all the things that we did were always elevated because automatically by nature, it kind of had a cultural component because we had Black people that were in office and that lived there. And so for me, a White House event really is really about the venue. I mean, like, it's not like any other venue. There is only one White House, that is here where the president and first lady live. The office, it's basically an office, a museum, and their residence. And so to have that as your backdrop is already naturally beautiful. You have all these historic things, but also, history comes with its issues. So you got to make sure that, you don't, some of those pictures you don't want to highlight. You want to keep the camera angle away. You want to make sure you're putting something in front of some things. And so I think that we can make it a playground. And for us, we were very forward moving. And so, just having people walk in the door just to be like, they can't believe that they're here, whether it's a tour or whether it's a state dinner. I think people were always mesmerized when they came through. And so that alone, I feel like made it really an upscale venue and to just, an upscale party. And I think when it was especially like looser things like birthday parties or whatever, like, we had DJs, we had people swag surfing, we had live MC, like we had all of that because that's who I was, that's who the president and first lady were. And so it was like, let's just make sure that we continue to represent as much as we can.
Yeah, I know my friend Brian Henry, who may be listening to us today, DJ B. Hen, was no stranger to the Obama White House social calendar under your leadership. So transitioning from the folks walking into the White House to the people walking into the classroom at the Harvard Kennedy School, talk to me about this course that you've designed. You've curated it, and you've been an instructor in a course called Imposter to Impact. What are some of the objectives of this course? And for people that may never take it at Harvard, what do you really want people to take away from this learning experience?
Yeah, and what I'll say too about my fellowship that I had there was in 2019. It was in the winter of 2019, and what I loved about what I did, it was almost 100% me in the sense that you didn't have to go to Harvard to take it. Like we had the Cambridge public would come, people from other schools would come, and so my class was an open class. And really, I went to when I was going to the fellowship, I had a whole different topic called the politics of entertaining in politics, and the students, specifically the Black students that were there at Harvard said, we really deal with a lot of imposter syndrome and we saw you do a talk. We actually would like, you to do a course on that. So I completely changed my topic of what I was going to speak on. And the course itself really focused on how, especially as Black people or historically oppressed people in any which way, whether it's LGBTQ, whether it is, disability, whatever it is, we are the pit of, let's make them feel bad. We were never supposed to be in power, right? And so all these systems are in place that kind of make us feel that way. And then we internalize them as our fault. So my course really spoke to my journey. I used my entertaining journey along the way, same with the book, to give these lessons and to showcase how, when I was younger and was abandoned, put in a white boarding school, like what that told me about me being Black, that I was wrong, my nose was too big, my talk was too whatever. And so I started to think that I wasn't educated, right? And so that followed me through college, to through the job, through everything else. And then I had to dig up that root. And so my course really spoke to that. And it really spoke to how we dig up that root and we reclaim that voice inside of ourselves that's like, no, I'm great. Like you get used to saying that I'm great. And so the course took it over 8 weeks of just everything from curiosity to confidence to deep-rooted issues to systems that play on us not having any confidence and how they make money off of that. Like the only people that benefit from us not feeling qualified are people that are in power. So we need to snatch that back. So the course really spoke to that and it broke it down so it wasn't all self-help. Like I'm not preaching to people. I'm going to tell you my story, just like the book, give you some lessons. And before you know it, you're laughing and being like, oh, shoot. Like, oh, I see what she's saying. I see what she's saying. But all these quick things like accomplishments and getting into Harvard or whatever, that's not going to do it because you're eventually going to graduate and then you'll be like, oh, now what do I do? Like, I still feel like an imposter. So I wanted to take it back. And so that's how I did it with that course. And it was fun. It was great. It was great.
I mean, and that's great. And so is your book. So is really your testimony. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I'm thinking as I'm hearing you share that, I think it's something that Oprah might have said is that you become not what you want, but you become what you believe.
Yes.
Right. And so I think part of what you're getting into your course and the content of this book is it's the self-talk that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the self-editing that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And all the ways in which we may, mute ourselves.
Yes.
Because, we don't have the confidence when we go into every room that we travel in.
Mm-hmm.
And overcoming that, it's not just a one-time deal.
Yes.
But I would imagine, as, a Black and openly gay man, right? It's like, coming out or inviting in,
yes.
You do it over the course of a lifetime. It's
yes.
not like, hey, everybody, here I am, right?
Yes.
You do it, with every encounter in some grand ways and some really subtle ways.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been your experience as well?
You're correct. That's 100% been my experience. And I think that for me also, when you said like it's what you believe, but like, I think many times everything suppresses that belief, so we can't even get to the point where we believe that, like, with me with the White House internship or even going to the White House, like people are like, oh, did you dream of that? And I'm like, of course I didn't dream of it because that was never accessible to me, not just because I didn't have connections, but I thought so little of myself that I thought they would never, I'm not fit for that. You know what I mean? So it's even accessing that belief first. And the only way to access that belief, I feel, and what worked for me was to go back and dig up the root of when this started. And I think about when I was a young girl and it was like, oh, this Black girl's mouthy. This Black girl's loud. Like all those things continue. That's when it all started for me. So I had to dig up the root so I didn't continue to plant this, rotten tree that, of course, branched out and gave me accomplishments, but I was always chasing this high of validation. And so I think that once Black people, I speak for Black women, but but once I was able to lift that weight of saying like, this is not my fault. This is not my responsibility. Like what y'all have, the issue that y'all have with me and the way I talk, that's on you. So once I released that, then that helped me access the belief that what I could do, which is now why I'm like a little child with their eyes open. Like, what else can I do? I'm so curious because I missed so many years of thinking I couldn't do that much. And now I'm like, what else can I do? Oh my God, I can teach at Harvard. I could be at the White House. I can go live in another country. And I'm reclaiming that part of me that didn't think I could do any of that and hopefully inspiring other people to do the same.
I mean, so much of our curiosity, so much of what is for us is on the other side of our curiosity.
100%.
Right? But we've got to summon the courage to be able to reach for that, right? And that really is half the battle. When we come forward, I'm talking to Deisha Dyer about her book that I'm telling you, everybody's talking about. Teach yourself, don't treat yourself. Or treat yourself, don't cheat yourself. It's called Undiplomatic: How My Attitude Created the Best Kind of Trouble. Speaking of trouble, there are a lot of our leaders, learners, and listeners that are diversity, equity, and inclusion professionals, and they find themselves in a little bit of trouble trying to navigate the headwinds inside and outside of their organizations. When we come forward, I want to ask Deesha her advice for folks navigating some of the anti-DEI work that is afoot out there as small business owners, as people in the event space that are trying to keep it real and keep it connected to the culture. Plus, I have a very special invitation for Deesha when we come forward. You don't want to miss it. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
LA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's cal-cruise-news.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. And before we get back to our guest, shortly after we went on air, former President Barack Obama released a statement on today's news related to the conflict in the Middle East, saying that today, quotes, President Biden put forward a clear, realistic, and just plan to establish an immediate ceasefire and end the war in Gaza, a plan that ensures that Israel's security returns hostages taken on October 7th to their families, increases aid into Gaza and relieves the suffering of Palestinian civilians, and engages Israeli, Palestinians, Arab countries, and the broader international community in the process of rebuilding Gaza. A ceasefire alone won't ease the terrible pain of Israelis whose loved ones were butchered or abducted by Hamas, or the Palestinians whose families have been shattered by the subsequent war. The former president goes on to say that it won't resolve long-standing conflict between Israeli and Palestinians or answer contentious issues surrounding a two-state solution or continuing settler activity in the West Bank. But what it can do is put a stop to the ongoing bloodshed, help families reunite, and allow a surge of humanitarian aid to help desperate, hungry people. That is an excerpt from a statement that President Obama posted to Instagram about 45 minutes ago. You might remember we shared that news that broke a few hours ago out of the White House. And we'll continue to keep you posted as updates become available. But I want to go back to Deesha Dyer, the former White House social secretary under President Obama. We've been talking about her book, that is out and that is creating a whole lot of buzz, and rightfully so. We are doing our part here on this show to add to the buzz of her book, Undiplomatic: How My Attitude Created the Best Kind of Trouble. Disha, before we went to the break, I really was teasing up this opportunity for you to say the quiet part out loud to some of our friends, some of our leaders, learners, and listeners that work each and every day in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. A lot of severe headwinds blowing inside those organizations and outside those organizations, challenging supplier diversity and connection to community, authentic connection to community. I know that in addition to being an author, I know that you are also the CEO of an organization that is in high demand, a social impact agency. I want to give you an opportunity to share the quiet part out loud to our DEI friends.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say number one is take care of yourself. Like, watch your mental health while you're in this space, because it is so easy to get wrapped up into helping others and fighting the machine that it comes at a detriment of your health, which is, I think, I always say that sometimes forces kind of kill us slowly and softly. If they can't attack us physically, they try to attack us, mentally, right? And so I would say number one, if you are a DEI professional, someone who is in that space of anti-racism or anti-anything, to make sure that you watch your your high blood pressure numbers, all those things that it seems like are not as important as obviously these national fights. But I also got type 2 diabetes, I got high blood pressure, I got all the things because I was just so focused on fighting so much. That's what I would say. Number two, what I would say is that we need to kind of band together as people to fight this. Like, I understand that there's different people doing different things on all different levels, as far as like, there's people that write checks and there's people who do stuff, work in the classroom or whatever. But us attacking each other on the method in which we put forward change is only dividing us. Like, I am for thought leadership. I am for dissent. I am for being wrong. I am for somebody bringing forward different ideas. But I think that we are divided in how we want to do that, and we're losing the plot altogether. So I would say that make sure that you are in community with people and then that are like-minded, and that people that are part of your historically oppressed group. Because sometimes, especially if you're progressive or a liberal, some people be disguised, and they be like, I'm for you. And then they come down to it for real. And they be like, but no, not like that. Or no, you're offending me. And I'm talking about other people that are not melanated. So I say be careful with that. But I'd say also continue the fight when it comes to data, continue the fight when it comes to making sure you got proof. Like I always tell Black people in the workplace, I write down everything. I'm writing down, it was 2:53. I got on a blazer. It was this color when she said this, that, and the fourth, because they always want to prove us wrong, right? So write all that stuff down, and and make sure you take care of yourself during that process. But continue to keep fighting. Know that some battles are not yours. Sometimes the battle is above you. Sometimes you got, and sometimes that has to be it. But I don't let nobody in any realm. I don't care if I lose a contract. I don't care if I lose a payment. I don't care if I lose a client. You will not disrespect me or mine. And I will not sit there and argue with you about my humanity. Like I'm not going to do that. Like we can go back and forth on some things. Humanity, I'm not going to do that. So let's not get caught up in that. But let's not also caught up in fighting each other over the way in which it needs to be done. It's like, let's just get it done. And that's what I feel like we need to do.
Let me tell you, if that ain't the quiet part out loud, I don't know what is. And spoken with 10 toes down.
Yes.
From Disha Dyer, who in addition to being the author of Undiplomatic: How My Attitude Created the Best Kind of Trouble, she's also the founder and CEO of a social impact agency called Hook and Fasten. And so what website can people go to not just purchase the book, but learn more about some of the services that you provide?
Yes. And so everybody can go to www.DishaDyer, just my first name, last name.com. Underneath that, it'll say, I think it's scrolling right now. Underneath that, it'll say where you can get the book, all the reviews on the book, my press on the book. It says about my social impact, about my speaking. Everything is there. And I'm also on Instagram at D Dyer, DEEDYER 267. I'm also always there because, you know, I love community in digital form and in person form. And so I'm always there. But DishaDyer.com is the space where people can get a hold of me. We do answer emails. We ain't those kind of people. You may not like my answer sometimes, but I'm gonna give it to you. But that's where they can get the book and learn more about me and my journey.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I'm so glad that we could be in conversation with you because, you know, your book in so many ways, it represents the types of books and conversations with the types of authors that are on the front lines of change. This show, A More Perfect Union, was created to be a home for authors like you, change makers like you, people that, you know, aren't self-interested in being provocateurs, but instead the people that are on the front lines doing the heavy lifting, folks that you may not necessarily see in the headlines every single day, but you feel the effect. You feel the effect of their work. I'll never forget when I first met Dr. Karanga, who is the founder of Kwanzaa.
Yes.
One of the things that he said to me in terms of, he offered an operational definition of what it meant to be Black. And according to Dr. Karanga, he said color, consciousness, and commitment. Color, consciousness, and commitment. We get so caught up in the whole, you know, skin folk ain't kin folk or kin folk ain't skin. We get so caught up in that we forget about, you know, the consciousness and commitment. And anybody who reads your book, and anybody, you know, that is dialed in to some of the work of your agency can feel that consciousness and commitment. And we want to continue to be a home for the Dishas out there in the world of publishing and beyond. And so starting this summer, we're going to be launching something new on this show. It's called A More Perfect Book Club. We are doing our part to build a more perfect union, one book recommendation at a time with authors of note. And so to all of our leaders, learners, and listeners, keep your eyes peeled for the launch of our summer series of conversations with some of my favorite authors that you should know.
I love this.
And guess what, Disha? You are our very first.
Yes, I love this. I love this. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. When we meeting in person, we'll be doing it. No, I love this. Yes, because authors, especially Black authors, need outlets. Need outlets, need conversation, need community, because it's not a lot out. Like, we get pigeonholed. I love it. I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah. And also, you know, for me, I will be a first-time author. I'll be publishing on July 23rd my political memoir, Kamala, the Motherland, and Me. And so, you know, I had a chance to travel with the VP to Ghana, Tanzania, and Zambia last spring. And I can't wait to take you and all of our leaders, learners, and listeners on that journey.
Yes. Well, let's be in touch too, so I can make sure you set up right for your launch and stuff, because it's a lot. So make sure we.
Absolutely. That's a more perfect book club. We are building community, y'all. My thanks to Disha Dyer. Go out and get her book. And a big thanks to the Village that helps us to produce A More Perfect Union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Miles Lowe, our show producer, Robert Battles, and our podcast publishing guru, Odell Bodie. Remember, don't panic, organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. Have a great weekend. You've been listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.